Hello, everyone. So, this is a new channel that I have created as a hobby. My name is Yanis, and I am creating this video, I suppose, to put myself out there to improve my public speaking skills, in quotation marks, of course, as this is online. And I don't know, hopefully to, meet like-minded people. So, as I said, my name is Yanis, and this channel will focus mainly on things in the general sense, self-improvement, but that could include a whole, lots of different things like finance, investing, life advice, and just sharing my experience really without really any restrictions because it's my channel, which is pretty nice. Obviously, a lot of the self-help stuff might resonate more with males, but I suppose the finance stuff and the life experiences are pretty universal. So, who am I? I'm a 26-year-old doctor that lives in the UK, and I will be discussing mostly about my experiences. And I will talking about things that I'm currently doing, things like, where am I investing, what kind of money rules I have, what things are in my everyday life, and what I think are sort of good improvements. But then again, these are all, as I said, things that I like to do and sort of believe in. Now, the other thing is why the name of the channel, Live, Life, and Learn. Because I suppose I believe it focuses on my three big premises, which is that I'm all about, hard work and discipline and striving towards goals. But I'm also, quite social and believe that, I suppose life is not work, but work is a big part of life, is usually how I like to think of it. But I really love to do, sort of different things, and I'm quite social, and I love, seeing my friends, which is what really allows me to be balanced enough to do my job. I really love spending time with my family as well. And family is number one for me. And obviously, I understand this is not the same from everyone, but yeah, these are my opinions. Um, so, what is the gameplay in the background? So, in the background, I will just be having some mainly Call of Duty gameplays, as these are the games from my childhood. When I was 11, 12, 13 years old, and even younger, playing Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops 2. Those are sort of the main games that I loved, and mostly played. And I would just leave them as a background so that you know, it helps entertaining people while I talk. But I mainly want these videos to focus on the commentary, and for me just to just have long discussions, and get, people's opinions, and hopefully they can be entertaining or motivating or just boring, neither of the above. Or sometimes, people like me, to be honest, just want to come back home and just watch a video and relax. So I want to make them sort of short and sweet, and give sort of concise information, I suppose. Um, I can also believe that I suppose my unique insight is just being a doctor. I can give some stories from the hospital to time, obviously, all maintain privacy, but just mostly the lessons that I learn from them rather than sharing any information. So yeah, so what does my life look like, and what do I usually do? So, well, as a doctor that is training in internal medicine and hoping to specialize in cardiology, my life pretty much revolves around the hospital. And I know you're sick and tired of hearing doctors say, "Oh, I'm a doctor" to people. But I promise this is for the cause of my channel, and because it's a big part of my life, but also it's a good segue to talk about hard work and discipline, right? So the fact of the matter is that medicine is a really long profession. until you become what we say really, really competent, is that it takes about 15 to 20 years in the UK to be really good at what you do, or to be at least at the top of your field, which I think is one of the longest, if not the longest, um, training pathways. So I think it is a good barometer for discipline. You'd have to be pretty insane to do it, or you must really, really like it, which is in my case. Um, but yeah, so I will only be using that as an example, I promise, and hope to not become insufferable. As I said, my day is pretty much spending at the hospital, usually from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. if I'm not on call. So, yeah, my life is pretty busy, but I enjoy this way. And I hope I don't sound like a complete hypocrite at some points, but I only hope to use this to help and motivate people. Because, I guess my main tenant of life is that, unfortunately or fortunately, the gift and the curse falls on you, in the sense that you can work hard and achieve things, but only if you truly want them and truly work really hard towards them. By majority, this is true. However, I was recently watching a video by a channel named Analyzing Finance with Nick. Maybe some of you have heard of him. He does excellent in-depth videos about, very complex economic topics and finance, um, mainly around finance and also how these influence society. So he's a really, really good channel that you can always have a look at. But he made a recent video called uh, "When is it? When does it make sense to work hard?" And I think this is a very ambiguous topic because, in the past, in our parents' and grandparents' generation, hard work was the number one thing. Um, it was the basic premise that, my dad, taught me about, my granddad still tells me to this day. But I suppose things have sort of changed nowadays, and it's very, very dependent on your job. So, if you work, let's say, at McDonald's, you work really hard, you get promoted to manager. Again, this is a very simplistic example, but, best case, you're a manager, of the establishment. But if you, let's say, learn a more valuable, high value skill, especially nowadays with the internet, I don't know, like copywriting or video editing or something like that, and you do it as a freelancer, and then you become quite good at it, you might end up making, almost, twice the money you were making before, without necessarily working as hard as you did, right? So I suppose the equation should be working hard, but also learning how to work on the right things more than anything, and the things that matter. So, as I said, the basis of this channel, the basis of my channel, live life and learn, is that you really need more life experience than you think. My number one advice is you need more life experience, for the majority of people nowadays. A good writer once said is that, you know, everyone's writing a book nowadays, but no one has any experience. Whereas people in the past didn't used to, write all these books, but they had so much life experience, which is what made them so interesting. So I think you need more life experiences, more of applying yourself, which is the same in finance, right? So in the beginning, you were kind of scared of you know investing your first dollar, euro, or pound, or whatever currency you use, and you were terrified that you were going to lose it in the stock market, and you didn't know where to put it. But then slowly you did research, time passed, you invested more and more, you got better at it. Um, so I suppose this is a form of, life experience and applying yourself and making mistakes that only you can own, right? So I would say, you know, that's the basic tenet, and that's the main introduction to this video. Um, Another thing that I would like to add is that I might throw in a couple of different things. uh, with collecting my thoughts or on my interests, because I quite enjoy watching football. That is the European football, the one you that you use your feet. I also quite enjoy going to the gym around 4 to 5 times a week. Again, for the sake of not being a hypocrite, sometimes it could be, 2 to 3 times if I've got a horrendous set of on calls where I'm working, 12 and a half hours for 4 days in a row. Um, so I will be dropping different things like that. And then I will be, as I said, talking about self-improvement like finance, but also, things that is very rarely touched upon is things like having social skills, and how to improve yourself. So yeah, I like to think I'm pretty disciplined, but I also quite like going out. I quite like to see my friends. As I said, this is one of my big values. I also like to have a few drinks, make some inappropriate jokes with my friends. Anything to help me relax and spend time with people that I want to spend time with, right? Because as I said, work is very important, but is not the end of and be all of my life, at least. So yeah. So I hope this wasn't a really messy introduction. I will be having a few topics covering next about, discipline, things that I use that help me, setting goals, whether that would be, with the gym or physical, mental, or with work and how to progress. And again, I will only be talking about my experiences. So, anything I say you take with a pinch of salt. I'm not a 20-year veteran business owner. I know pretty much next to nothing about entrepreneurship. So maybe I will bring something that is a little bit, I suppose, more relatable because I don't really have an internet job. I have very much a real life job, um, where I have to interact with people and be out there in society, rather than, doing something like YouTube or copywriting, things like that. So hopefully, it will resonate with, just more people, I suppose, and then we will take it from there. So I really hope you enjoyed this first video. I'm sorry for my rambling, but hopefully in the future things will get better. So yeah, let me know if you have any topics, and thank you very much for watching.